Hi everyone, my name is Sam and welcome to today's video where we will continue with the lessons about writing essays. In this presentation, we will focus on the first part of academic paper, and that is the introduction. However, the main aspect that we will deal with is how to write a thesis statement. If you have not watched the first part of this lesson, I've included the link to that presentation in the description box. In the previous video, we stated that an introduction has three elements, namely the hook sentence, the background section, and the thesis statement. We will discuss these three parts with much emphasis on the thesis statement. Let's start with the hook sentence. The aim of a hook sentence is to grab the interest of the reader so that they can continue to read the paper. Although your professor must lead your paper to the end, an interesting hook sentence creates a good impression to the instructor and can earn you a few points. This sentence should be interesting to encourage the reader to read more about your argument. To achieve this goal, you can use several methods. Number one is the contrast statement. A contrast statement engages the reader because it makes them wonder what the connection between two ideas. Let's have an example. Although America is the land of free, a quarter of the global prisoners are incarcerated in the American prisons. In this sentence, the idea that America has the largest number of prisoners, yet it prides itself as the land of free, will motivate readers to want to know what causes this difference. The second way is statistic. Another way to engage readers is to give them statistics about your topic. An example of such hook sentence is, the average global temperature has increased by 0.7 degrees in the last half a century, after increasing by only 0.027 degrees in the first half of the 20th century. This sentence raises readers' interest since the audience will want to know what causes such a huge difference in the rise of the Earth temperature. And number three is quote from famous people. A quote from famous individuals or any interesting quote can engage readers who will want to know how those words apply in the current moment. Let's look at an example. After several years of activism, Martin Luther Jr. realized that in the end, people will not remember the awful deeds of the bad people, but the silence of the good individuals. Number four is to make a strong declaration or statement. A strong declaration can attract people to read your paper to find out where you get the authority or the conviction to declare such a claim. Let's look at such a hook sentence. If the Congress does not implement effective police reforms, this country will continue to witness several cases of police brutality. These are some of the ways you can formulate a thesis statement. A hook sentence. However, as a rule of thumb, any interesting or fascinating statement can serve this goal. In informal setting, that is outside the academic level, you can use interesting questions or even rhetorical questions as a hook statement to start your paper. However, this method is not acceptable in formal academic level. Let's go to the background information. There is no specific formula for this part. However, what you're supposed to do is to give your readers basic information about the topic you'll discuss in the paper. In normal essays, that is below 15 pages, the background section will be between 3 to 7 sentences. In large papers, you can have about 1 or 2 paragraphs of this section. In dissertation, the background part has its own subheading within the introduction section and includes several paragraphs, even sometimes 2 pages. In a not too distant future, we'll have presentation on writing a dissertation where I'll explain the steps involved in writing this paper. Now, let's go to the final and the most important part of an academic paper, and that is the thesis statement. A thesis statement is the last sentence of the introductory paragraph. If your introduction has 2 paragraphs, then the thesis statement should come at the end of the last one. In papers below 20 pages, the thesis statement should be 1 sentence. In large papers, you can include 2 or 3 sentences. However, personal narrative papers such as letters, reflection papers, and personal portfolio do not require thesis statements. Besides, dissertation paper follows a different approach. So be sure to check lessons on how to write a dissertation to know how to write this type of paper. Now, the question is, what does a thesis statement do? A thesis statement announces the argument to be discussed in the paper. Thus, it gives the direction of the essay. Let's look at a basic thesis statement. This paper will discuss the causes and the impacts of global warming. A paper with such a thesis statement will include a number of paragraphs talking about the causes of global warming and some other paragraphs that discusses the impacts of the rise of the earth temperature. Please note that you cannot include any other information that does not fall within these 2 aspects. For example, you cannot give a recommendation in this paper as it's beyond the scope of the essay. The above thesis statement is a very weak one, and only high school students are allowed to have such statements. In college and higher levels, the thesis statement must be strong, debatable, and specific. Let's look at how to write a strong thesis statement. We shall do so by improving the previous thesis statement. The first step is to narrow the scope of the statement. For example, rather than discuss the general causes, you can focus on the human factors. Then, you should not include the phrase this paper will discuss. By introducing these 2 steps, our statement will change to human activities are the main causes of the rise in the global temperature. This is a better thesis than previous one because someone can debate it otherwise. That is, some individual can argue that natural factors such as volcano activity are the main causes of global warming. To make this statement even more strong, we need to give precise information, e.g., human activities such as deforestation and industrialization are the main causes of global warming because they increase the amount of carbon dioxide in the environment. The last step is to include the opposing view. So our final thesis statement will be, although global warming results from several factors, human activities such as deforestation and industrialization are the main causes of the rise in the average earth temperature. This is a focused, precise, and debatable thesis. So, in such a paper, you should demonstrate how human activities contribute to global warming. Now, let's look at some other strong thesis statements. Since the end of civil war in the US, the idea of the free society has gradually improved through the civil liberties and protection. Another one, due to the rise of Nazi regime in Europe, the UK armament efforts doubled at the end of the 1930s. Another one, although the economic crisis of 2008 was a global phenomenon, most of the developing nations recorded a significant increase in economic growth during the period. I've explained the thesis section in a limited and simple way. If you want me to dedicate another presentation precisely on thesis statement, please leave a comment below. If you want notes on the same, send me an email and I'll share some quality materials on the topic. Lastly, if you're struggling with any school assignments, kindly send me an email and I'll be able to help. That's all for today. Thanks for your time.